Welcome back to episode
Welcome back, everybody.
2 of the Dean and Drew Show. This is the second installation. Hard to believe we made it this far.
You guys are here with us at ground zero right now.
Ground zero.
Ground 2 at this point because it's our second episode, but not far off the ground at all.
No. Last episode we did was a bit more of an introduction, kind of just an off-the-cuff sort of, here's who we are, here's what we hope to do, This is how we're going to do it, that kind of thing. But Drew
this is almost like our first real episode.
Yeah, sort of. Drew and I have talked a lot about what we kind of want to do with the show and where we want to go, how we want to do it. And we came up with three legs of the show. So we've got kind of the opening monologue, something that we care a lot about, something that we're passionate about, something that has been on our mind or that we've learned or, X, Y, Z that we want to speak about and kind of bring to light. And then the second leg of the show that we came up with is called comment-tary. And for those of you who can't see the screen, comment-tary is comment-tary. So T-A-R-Y. So we're going to pick a quote or a comment or a question. Eventually, when we get a big enough audience and people are commenting questions or submitting questions that they want to hear us answer, we'll go there. But for now, we've got a quote that we picked out that we would like to talk about, or maybe it could be like a comedic thing one of these days to make the show a little bit more lighthearted. And then the third leg is what Drew and I call off the table. So off the table is just our fun way of saying we're canceling something.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
not that it's cancel culture. This isn't political, but
it might be. It could be.
You never know.
Once we get big enough, we might start canceling political figures, but we haven't gotten that far yet.
So we're going to pick something. It could literally be anything. And cancel it.
Yeah.
And explain why. So for those of you who are listening, who are kind of interested to see where we might go with this, that's where we're starting.
And it's certainly probably going to change over time unless this takes off. But if we're just going to see how it goes, we're going to see how it rolls.
Yeah. And that's about all you can do, I think.
Yeah. So, recently Dean and I have been talking a lot, and it's become awfully evident in our lives that we are surrounded by awfully good people and
very good people.
It ties into the old adage of you are who you surround yourself with. And I mean, people hear this all the time.
It's such a broken record.
Show me your 5 friends and I'll show you who you are in 10 years.
It's got the black and white lion marching behind the quote.
Like scenes from The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, so it's
and 12-year-olds are like, yeah.
It's just been beat over the head. But I was just telling Drew, I see all sorts of statistics going around about how loneliness is at an all-time high, and specifically with men are all at an all-time low for friends and stuff. And I can't help but just be blessed that I can scroll past that statistic and not really feel it, because I'm not a part of that statistic. I'm very blessed to have not only a very solid family, but also a lot of good friends, and not just friends that are loyal to me, but friends that also push me in very good directions in all aspects of my life, whether that's career, my emotional health, my mental health, my, financials, and anything. It could literally be anything. And I have a lot of friends. Brandon, our producer, which if you are an OG and you've tuned into our first episode, you heard a little bit about producer Brandon. He is our friend that we what's the word? We dump a lot of creative energy into, because he's way smarter than Drew and I. So he's able to look at a screen and put things together and make what we have all jobbled up in here actually come to light.
Brandon's almost like a 3D printer. We just are kind of the people that tell it what to do, and then Brandon prints the idea out, and there it is. We can hold it. So shout out Brandon for being our 3D printer. But
just extremely lucky to have all sorts of good people in our lives that really, really do push us to be the best version of ourselves and do our best in whatever we pursue, which
in all different areas too.
Areas.
It's not just career-wise. And I made this point yesterday with one of my good friends. It's not just career-wise, but it's socially, it's it's creatively, all in between career-wise. I made the analogy that I'm fascinated with presidential politics. I think the president is sweet, left, right, or center. The idea of the cabinet and the judiciary system, the executive branch, legislative branch, I think it's fascinating. So I always kind of tie things into that. And recently, what I thought about is almost like the idea of your friends who you surround yourself with. They're your cabinet, and they represent different areas of your life and where they push you in that area. So, for example, producer Brandon, he would be like the head of the creativity department in my head. Um, and you nominate him, and then you go along with it. And I think thinking of it like that, you're the president. Who's your cabinet, and how are they going to help you with your agenda and what you're pursuing?
Yeah, because if you put someone in your cabinet that is draining your energy or not pursuing your agenda,
Yeah.
then they're, I guess, a waste of space in your life. And by the way, I want to clarify, when I say pursuing your agenda, I don't mean manipulate your friends to make them do what you want.
Yeah,
what I mean is, let's just take, for example, that you're a healthy person.
Yeah, we all have things that we want or
that
need.
You have good intentions. You're going to take these people in your life, and whoever's going to push you to be better, you're going to draw them closer to you. You can say, quote unquote, hire them. Yeah. And you bring these people closer to you because as you're dumping into them, they're going to dump into you. And
exactly.
As maybe you're, like we mentioned with Brandon, we're creative people. Brandon's a smart guy. He knows Logic. He knows Final Cut. He like all these editing softwares. We're going to tell him what we want to do. And while we put it on paper, he puts it physically on a screen. And that's our relationship. So I just wanted to clarify before people think I'm some sort of like manipulative monster.
No. Well, we are. But
just, got to get there first.
Yeah.
But anyways, I do like, you mentioned it yesterday with the cabinet analogy. Like, you got all these people around you. You have to surround yourself with good people. That's the whole art of life.
It's the name of the game, man.
If you surround yourself with people who drag you down, whether you like it or not, no matter how firm you think you are going down with that person or those people. It's going to happen. Because you're either going to actually physically go down with them, or mentally you're going to start using them as kind of like an excuse. Like, oh, okay, that person's not doing this, then might not be that big of a deal. Maybe I don't have to do that right now either. And that, you need to pay attention to that because it's a slippery slope, and you don't realize it until afterwards, when it's too late.
Yeah.
When you're out of that relationship and you look back, you're like, that was 2 years. That was 3 years I spent with this person.
Yeah.
Friendship, relationship, whoever. And I made zero progress in anything because I was too busy just putting out fires all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
It's such a cliche, but yeah, who you surround yourself with is it. I mean, it doesn't decide your fate. Like, you're not going to, the world's not going to end, but it certainly decides the trajectory of where your life's going to head.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's going to pull you in one direction or another.
Yeah.
So you need to determine, are you going in a good direction or a bad direction? And are your friends helping you with that or hurting you?
I was listening to a podcast today, and I think that the guy, I think his name was Ben, brought up a really good point where if you surround yourself with people who are doing cool things, I've got a friend named Teddy. Shout out Teddy if he's listening to this. Ted Boss. Teddy does a lot of really cool things. Like, he's always out doing cool things. He's a military guy. He's very active, killer shape. And he recently ran an ultra marathon, which for those of you who might not know what that is,
it's insane is what it is.
It's 62 miles. And he ran it in the woods at night. So just an absolute like David Goggins-esque feat that is really sweet. But the reason I bring it up is because as I was listening to this podcast, I couldn't help but think about it when the guy said, when you surround yourself with people who are doing cool things, it makes you believe that you also can do cool things. Because anybody, you can watch a Michael Jordan clip or you can watch a David Goggins clip and they're out doing, these crazy things, but you don't know these people.
No.
It's just pixels on a screen. So you just kind of scroll past, you're like, oh, that was kind of cool, but whatever. But when somebody is doing these things, it makes you believe you can do it. And then you start to do those things because you know you can, or it's possible. Like, it's proven it's possible to do these things because you saw somebody do it.
I mean, proofs in the pudding. Teddy in my head is like the head of the department of physical activity. He runs my DOP. And a prime example is Teddy earlier this year, to use him as an example again, ran this thing called the 4-4-48, which ironically enough is a David Goggins challenge. And it's 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And Teddy did it, and he told us about it. I'm like, that sounds so insane. I don't think I could ever do that, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give myself 3 months to train. I'm going to run basically every single day. I'm going to do it. And come to find out, beginning of September, we got it done first try. I mean, I could probably slim down the times a little bit, but we got it done. And then in the following month of October, I ran 3 half marathons, something I never thought I could do, even one time. So that's a prime example right there of just how big somebody can mold your life. And I mean, they would have no idea, but it's so important.
But if you were surrounded by people who just, play Xbox all day, there's no chance you would ever you're not going to do that. Why would you ever do that? You're never going to put yourself up to that challenge of going out and doing those types of things if you're surrounded by people who don't do that.
Yeah.
And funny enough, if you did, you probably would stop being friends with those people over time because you realize that they don't have your interest in mind. There's nothing wrong with playing Xbox all day if that's you. You do you.
Amen.
But when it comes to achieving and when it comes to doing things that you're proud of and finding your purpose and yada, 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 you need to go out and find it. And that's what good people in your life will do for you. It also comes with connections and social ability and meeting people, which is a huge part of life. I mean, you hear this all the time too with humans being social creatures. As much as people like to pretend they're not, you are, because everybody at some point in their lives complains about being lonely.
Yep.
You're not doing that because you're not a social person. Everybody to some degree is a social person. You might not like big crowds, but you might want that intimate relationship, or you might not want intimate relationships, but you spend a lot of time at bars and clubs.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with any of the following. But it's proof that humans are social creatures. And recently, well, man, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a little bit more at this point. I was at church with my girlfriend at the time, and it was a really busy day, super busy day at the church. And we actually ended up getting sat like all the way in the back right or something crazy, far away from where we usually sat. And we're by a bunch of random people. Like, this church was big and really busy. So I sit next to this guy. I don't know who he is. And out of nowhere, to my surprise, because you almost never see this anymore, he turned to me. He's like, "Hey, my name's Nick. I see you in the gym all the time. Nice to meet you." So I introduced myself to him too, and that was kind of the extent of our relationship. We might have talked a little bit about the gym at that point, but it didn't really go any further than that. But nonetheless, that was our first substantive contact, was there, just by chance. And at that point, I had two options. I could either try and nurture this relationship and turn it into something, or this could just be some random guy that I see at the church every now and then, maybe wave to, and then that's that. So I really felt drawn to this guy that I had just met, because this is obviously, he's in killer shape. This is a guy who works out all the time. He's at church, which is another one of the things I do. And he just seems like a really stand-up guy, someone who's willing to introduce themselves and right off the bat give you a compliment. Like, that's a signal that this is a really stand-up guy. So I'm like, okay, I really would love the opportunity to nurture a relationship with this guy. So I went home. I told my brother, Drew.
Hey guys, my name's Drew.
About him. And funny enough, Drew runs into him at the gym not long after that. And at this point, I believe I mentioned his name was Nick. Nick has no idea that I'm a separate person from Drew. He thinks that we're the same person. So he's talking to Drew as if I'm Drew. And eventually they exchange phone numbers and Drew has to come clean. But
he outed me.
I say all this because that random interaction at church has now turned into a really good friendship. And we're getting close to a business relationship as well with him, talking about investment properties and stuff.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we were recently at his house for a Friendsgiving. We've gone on trips before, like the hiking trip we did, which is actually, I should mention, a good example of that social ability I mentioned earlier, where this one random interaction at church nurtured into a good relationship with a really solid guy. So I guess my social cues were right. And recently he said, "You know what? I've been thinking a lot about it. You know, I've got a wife, I've got kids, but those are different relationships and solid friendships. You need all these different relationships in your life. You're not complete with just one. And he said, I want to get a bunch of guys together and come up with this friend group that can nurture that void that not only me, but the friends that I want to bring along have also described having in their lives.
Yeah. Solid group of dudes.
Oh, solid group of dudes.
Great dudes.
So Nick ended up scheduling a hike at, what was it, Whirlpool Park up here in New York.
Right by Niagara Falls.
It's the first time Drew and I met any of these people. Like, never have met any of these guys. And immediately we all clicked because it's just a solid group of dudes who are like, you know what? We're all here to talk to each other. We're all here to meet each other. We're all here to kind of help each other grow. And because everybody went in with that mindset, it was immediately like, okay, we're going to do this. Everybody's boys now. Let's get it done.
Yeah. And it's really blossomed into something pretty cool. Like, we talk on a somewhat regular basis. We want to start getting more hangouts in the books. But, I mean, recently, a guy texted the chat and he's like, hey, guys, just looking for some prayer. Like, anybody else needs something. And, I mean, there was more to it than that. But just reading that text, I'm like, man, we have really fallen into a good group of dudes. Yeah. Like, these guys all have our backs, and I've known these guys for a couple of weeks. And
not even that.
I mean, I always say that Nick's the kind of guy that, like, you'd say, oh yeah, just let me know, and he actually lets you know.
Which is rare.
For
everybody listening, that's a cheat code in life, is just letting people know when they tell you to let them know.
Yeah, like, that's actually a great thing to do. I've actually gotten a few compliments on that from various people, like, dude, you actually followed up with me, like, I can't believe you did that.
Finding humans who will follow up with you is such a blessing. It really is.
But yeah, all that is to say, you hear it all the time, and I'm going to beat the dead horse one more time. Really pay attention to who is around you in your life and take inventory of it. Just, hey, is this person dragging me down? Like, what is this person lifting me up? And don't be afraid to go into the big bad, scary world, to places where you enjoy being, or do what you enjoy doing, and just like Nick, shake someone's hand. Be like, dude, I see you in here all the time. Just wanted to introduce myself.
People love that.
I mean, you always think like, oh well, that's weird. Why would? But like, think about if someone did that to you. How would you feel? If you think it's weird, don't do it. But if you like me would say, oh, that's pretty sweet, do it. Yeah. Like, meet somebody.
That's one good lesson I've taken from recently. I don't remember where, but the idea is, as soon as you think of that person, that place, that thing, you think of that person, you're like, man, I wonder how they're doing.
Text them.
I hope they're doing good. Call them. Text them immediately.
Some sort of contact.
Don't
Send
even
them a
think
pigeon
about it,
with a message.
Because before you can stand in your own way and convince yourself that it's creepy or it's bothering or they're too busy, whatever, just do it. Because I guarantee you the response is just going to be phenomenal. As long as you're talking to somebody who's, not a weird person. But
don't like reach out to your ex-girlfriend or nothing.
Recently, somebody I know, her husband came up with cancer, and he just got surgery, I think a couple days ago. So I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, man, I should send flowers. I really I've seen, my mom has gotten a few surgeries, and whenever she gets surgeries, people will always send her flowers. I'm like, man, it's pretty nice. Now I have the opportunity to do it. And I sat there and I was like, are they going to think it's creepy? I mean, he's a guy. Is he going to think it's like stupid that he's gotten flowers? Is it too soon? And I'm like, okay, hang on. If I got surgery and somebody sent me flowers, it would make my day. Why would that not apply to, I mean, I get that everybody's different, but why would that not apply to somebody else? Yeah. It's the gesture. And before I could just sit there and convince myself that it's not a good idea, I just went along with it and did it. And sure enough, it got delivered today, and I got text messages from both of them. Like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. Thank you so much. They look awesome. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was right. Like, it's not creepy. They appreciated it. And it made me feel good because it's like, man, I'm glad I did that. Like, I'm glad I went along and I did that. And And I really think that more people should apply that rule of just as soon as you think it, as long as it's good, send them a message, call them. Oh, I wonder how Brandon's doing. Call him.
Appoint your cabinet and then have regular cabinet meetings.
Exactly.
That's the name of the game. You're the president, you have a cabinet.
Yep. And relationships are a two-way street. Nobody owes you anything, and they don't owe you anything. The fact that they're reaching out or you're reaching out is simply just because you guys appreciate each other. So never take that for granted, and always, always, always follow up with people and check on them. If you haven't heard from them in forever, just call. Yeah. Just call or text. Cool.
I think it's time we move on.
I think it is to the second leg of our show. If you made it this far, thank you so much. The second leg of our show, like we mentioned at the first half, or the top, I should
Commentary.
say. Top of the show.
Commentary.
Where we take a quote, a question, or a comment, and we talk about it a little bit and kind of give our thoughts on it. So Drew's got the quote this week.
Don't mind that piece of paper. We don't need it anymore. So I saw this quote a little while ago and I just kind of liked it. It says, "A car is not just a machine. It is a silent companion on the journey of self-discovery." Now, we've all been there, right? You break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever, and that drive home, right? Just you and your Kia Forte. But on a more serious note, I mean, think about all the times you've probably felt every single emotion in your car at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Complete jubilation, absolute tragedy.
I'm the man. I'm a failure. Heartbreak, tragedy.
I might be in
elation.
I might be dying right now. Yep. I could die. Yep. Holy crap, I almost died. Wow, I feel so alive.
I used to drive a Ford Mustang, and I loved that car. I ended up getting rid of it recently for a good handful of reasons. It was a sad goodbye, but I love that car. That car saw a couple relationships, many friendships, many trips, many pictures, a lot of friends, just all sorts of things. So when I hear that quote, it makes me realize that people say it's just a car, and it's like, yeah, physically it's just a car. But
you understand, Mom.
To some people out there, like you said, it's a companion in the journey of life. It sounds so like psychedelic.
I had my car. I still have my first car. It is a Subaru WRX. That is right. I am a racer. But I love my car, and like I said, I've had it for almost 4 years at this point. So it's seen me since I was 18 years old to now I turn 22 next week. And there's been a lot of change and a hell of a journey in the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. And that car's been a part of all of it. So I don't know. It's just fun to think about, like, how much you and your car, like how much you spend time with each other.
Yeah. I guess as long as your car is reliable too and it's not constantly in the shop, it kind of gives you the opportunity to not think about it as much as like a money pit or just something you got to put money into, and more of like a ship.
Yeah.
Like you make memories with it, create memories with the car, take it places, do cool things.
Yeah, you're the president. That's your Air Force One.
Yeah, man.
That's out there. You drive to go visit your cabinet.
Go out there and just conquer things, do things, see things, meet people, take trips.
And your car is a vessel for all of that.
It sure is. So I always think about too, it doesn't matter how much of a, crappy car it is or how much of a nice car it is. I always notice that the people with the lower end cars, like your first cars, always have such a high attachment to it. I think maybe they don't realize it, but that quote is potentially the mindset that they're in.
Yeah, it's just, all the places you went and all the growing up you did.
Got them through high school.
All the things that you saw.
First relationship.
I mean, it really is your silent companion on the journey of self-discovery. I mean, yeah, especially when you're growing up like we are. I mean, our brains aren't fully developed. The amount of times we've heard that, but it's true. I mean, there's so much change going on. There's so many experiences that you have, and your car is likely a part of all of it. So, yeah, I understand it.
Take pride in your ride, man.
Hell yeah. All right. Now to our final leg. Off the table Get it off! Off the table.
Off the table, where we cancel something that we either don't agree with, don't like, or maybe just something that's irrelevant now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And this one might be a little hot. I think our 7 viewers might get a little... Well, 4 of them are us, but our 3 actual viewers will get pretty upset about it, maybe. Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving dinner.
Canceled.
Now, look, the stuffing supporters and the cranberry sauce supporters might get a little upset. And I have nothing bad to say about stuffing.
We're not saying all of it
not
is
all
bad.
of it.
Not all of it is
but
bad.
Here's my point. This is what I've brought up recently. I feel like if we're going to set a whole day aside for a meal, make that meal something spectacular.
Yeah.
Which means, look, if you like turkey, you do you, man. But to me, turkey is dry. You can't dip it in anything for the most part. And it doesn't reheat well.
Especially you freaks out there that like the white meat, not the dark meat.
Yeah,
you guys are freaks.
That's just weird. But I feel like the resale value on turkey is just so low that it's like, we've waited all day for this meal and it's like, it's just turkey. You know what I mean? I would much rather have like a big steak or something.
Yeah, we told our mom that we should do this year like a Cajun turkey, like mac and cheese, or even like to just ditch the turkey and go with a steak.
Yeah, nice like steak.
Anything.
Yeah.
But our mom's traditional and she wants to do a turkey, so
whatever.
Maybe next year.
But
yeah, so Thanksgiving dinner.
Thanksgiving dinner is off the table this week.
Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving at the time of this
Swanto and the Pilgrims are rolling in their graves right now, but
Thanksgiving will be tomorrow, actually, at the time of this releasing. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Dean and Drew Show.
We are thankful for you.
We are thankful for everybody who supports us, whether you are listening or not. Thank you for everybody who just supports us in whatever we do. We are thankful for our friends, our family, all the relationships that we have, all the things that we have, the opportunities and the experiences and everything in between. So we are blessed folks, and we are very just happy to be here. So
yeah, enjoy your Thursday cabinet meeting tomorrow.
Enjoy your Thursday cabinet meeting. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, wherever you do things, see things, look at things. We're on there.
Yeah, so, we're probably lurking around. So come and use your thumb to say hi.
Yep. The link will be in the description of this podcast. You guys have a great holiday, and we'll see you in the next one.
We'll see you there.